back to Message in a Bottle. I'm Paloma.
And I'm Pilar.
So happy to have you all back with us for another episode. Just to cue you all up for what you're in store for today, we're going to continue a conversation we started last week, in which we started sharing a bit about our experience teaching English in Thailand together. So we're really excited to bring a little bit of a conclusion to that conversation. But before we do, we have a few other things queued up for you as always. So we're just going to jump right into things.
Let's
How
get
has your
into
week
it.
been?
It's been great. I am getting ready for a long trip to Spain in a couple weeks, so really excited for that.
How long are you going for?
My husband and I are going for 6 weeks. We're going to be taking language classes. It's always been a huge goal of mine to formally take Spanish classes, so always learning and growing and get to see some old friends and spend the month of May in Madrid, which is pretty much paradise. So super excited. Super excited.
Yes. Oh, I'm so jealous, actually. That sounds amazing.
It'll be really, really nice.
I don't think I've ever been to Spain in that time of year, so that should be really cool, just to be more like springtime vibes. And yeah, I know you have friends there, and just revisit with folks. And I mean, double down on that language. That's gonna be really. I hope that you're able to, I don't know, like practice with folks outside of your classes.
I hope so too. Yeah, definitely going to try to make an effort to push ourselves and practice a lot. Yeah, the time of year is perfect. It's actually amazing. The sun sets really late. The weather's looking like it's going to be like 75, 80 degrees. So it's full summery.
Yeah, before it gets too spicy.
Yeah, it gets a real spicy later in the summer. So yeah, how's your week been? What you been up to?
Let's see. I think it's been a continuation of domesticity in these parts.
Love.
Last week, I think I shared I'm on my knitting journey, and in accordance with that, I'm also on my sourdough bread journey.
And the pics you've sent me, the bread looks very good, and I'm low-key kind of jealous because I haven't had much success over here.
Well, I am starting off with a huge leg up, which is that my best friend just came and she brought me some of her starter, which is probably, I don't know how old her starter is, but she's been making sourdough for years and years and years. So she brought me a very healthy starter because I have also, during the pandemic, unsuccessfully started a starter. So I had at least the foundation, and then she and I have been going back and forth, and she's been sending me tons of recommendations. So throughout the process, I'm like, it looks like this. What do I do? And she's been kind of guiding me remotely from California and in the journey of me making these breads. So shout out to Amelia. Thank you for all of your help.
That's really amazing. You have like a hotline that you can
Literally
consult. Thank goodness. That's huge. That's super legit. Well, the bread looks
but
great. How's the flavor?
So the first loaf was lacking in salt and a little bit chewy. This loaf, I think the flavor was so much more like nuanced. I think, yeah, a little bit more like rise in the shaping, I think, is what I am going to work on, as well as maybe tweaking the salt a little bit.
How are you cutting it? Do you have a score?
I'm working with pretty bare bones equipment, and that's just to say you can make it happen. I don't have a Banneton with like the little basket to proof the bread in. I've just been proving it in the dish in which I'm going to bake it. I also don't have like a proper Dutch oven. I have it's a casserole dish with a lid.
There you go.
I mean, just an oven-proof vessel with a lid that's big enough to hold it will do the trick. So don't let, not having any of those tools deter you. I do have a bench scraper, so that's really helpful for like shaping the loaf, that I think that would be fairly difficult to do without, but everything else I think you might be able to make it work.
That's what's up. I am convinced that bread is especially difficult here in Colorado. If anyone out there lives in super dry climates,
it's also the altitude, like the baking temperatures and stuff. Yeah, I think that is more
altitude
to do with
and dryness.
But
I think both of those things, I'm blaming those. Although there's great bakeries here that figured it out, so that can't be a full excuse, but I think it's more challenging.
Well, we can get you some starter. And it's also a bit like I think any baker would tell you that sourdough is a labor of love. So
yep, absolutely. Well, that's exciting. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, well on my way. It's been so fun. I made avocado toast with it this morning, and I'm like,
stunning. I've been back on my avocado toast life. Like amazing, amazing. Like, I kind of forgot about it as a food for a long time because, like,
Oh,
it went.
really? I never
I
forget
mean,
about it.
you've always, yeah, I kind of like fell out of love with it, but
It's because I don't eat
lately,
eggs in the morning, so avocado toast is very much one of the, like, 3 things that I think about.
mm. How do you do yours? What's on your avocado
I like to
toast?
keep it pretty simple. I'll do a
Okay.
drizzle of olive oil, the avocado itself, and then everything bagel seasoning, usually.
Uh-huh.
That's my fave.
Yep.
Obviously, I can tweak it here or there if I don't have one of those things, what have you. But that's my
Mine is the same except for cream cheese underneath the avocado.
favorite. On that note, maybe we should dig into our musing of the week. We are doing a mutual musing, if you will.
Mhm.
So, you want to tee us off for that conversation?
Yeah, something that we have reflected on throughout the years, recent years, is parasocial relationships, and maybe we do a little intro as to what are parasocial relationships, Paloma?
Yeah, so parasocial relationships essentially describes any sort of maybe like one-way relationship is kind of how I think about it. So I did a little background research and the term actually came about in the 1950s.
Hmm.
There were two sociologists that coined this term in a some sort of prolific paper that has since kind of evolved into the way that it's being used more modern day. And it actually started because of the adoption of TV and radio in a major way in the
Uh-huh.
in the home. And so the idea that they talked about is that people start to form relationships with people who they see on a screen or either or experience in that time via the radio. There's
Right.
kind of the consistent drumbeat of that relationship over and over again. You
Mhm.
start to feel empathy or you start to feel some sort of emotional
Connection.
connection. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense that that would be when it started because it really it's just like when we have a tie to it could even be a character, I think, like a character on a show, not even
Yeah, I've
like the
heard about that.
actor.
I don't feel like I have had a parasocial relationship with a character, but it could be a component. And certainly I think in that respect, I always think it's funny when you like think a character is like hot. You're like
But
it's
they're
an
not a real
actor
person.
playing a thing that thing doesn't even exist, but you feel a connection. So
But
maybe in that regard,
they
I do.
become I mean, I think of it the strongest example that like first comes to mind is like Carrie Bradshaw. And I always think of her as like a fashion icon or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, that outfit
Mm,
is so that person that's been created." I feel like my parasocial relationships are more with real people that are content creators, celebrities, whatever, that you like know them as a real person. But yeah, I think it could exist for characters too. And
yeah,
maybe
it
that's
definitely
like
can.
how it started. But yeah, so it's obviously there's probably positives and negatives to these parasocial relationships, right?
Sure, but yeah, I think we just wanted to we we are entering this era where we are creating content and putting ourselves out there to the world, but we're also consumers of that. And so, yeah, I think the impetus of the conversation is to dig into what we think about it, how we experience it, how we might navigate it. Should we be on the flip side where we're the ones kind of not really knowing that people are connecting with us in that way? Because
Mhm.
there is the kind of twofold nature to that, right? You have the person consuming it and feeling those sense of connection to that. And then the person who's making it has no idea of that person's existence. And so I find that really interesting. Yeah, I might
That's a trip.
actually kick us off into a question actually I have for you.
Okay.
Who do you have the strongest or longest
Okay.
parasocial relationship with?
Um, there's definitely a few, right? There's definitely people out there, but I think one of my favorite parasocial relationships is with Emma Chamberlain. Shout out Emma. If you ever see this, I hope that's weird to like think about putting something out there online that someone you're like talking about someone that they might see it, which we do every week. But yeah, she's a YouTuber who's been creating content for quite a while. I mean,
She's an OG YouTuber, right? Like
yeah.
that's how she gained all of her fame and now she is a celebrity in her own right, but her claim to fame was her YouTube channel that was very my understanding is very like Gen Z in the way that it was kind
Totally.
of very off the cuff, very approachable,
Mhm.
very in my space, in my world, you're getting access to that.
Totally. Yeah, and now she does a podcast and yeah, I guess there's a lot of things I enjoy about her, but yeah, she is generally very vulnerable, very honest about things she's going through, just kind of relatable in that way where it's like she's human, she deals with, all the things that regular humans do, anxiety, and she's kind of, open about sharing that stuff with her audience. So,
Do you have a recollection of when you first, I don't know, discovered her? And then maybe like the second part of that is, when did you start feeling the parasocial aspect of it versus just, oh, I'm like absorbing this thing or listening to it,
mm,
versus the like, oh, now I'm yearning for it or I'm connecting to it in a deeper way.
interesting. I honestly don't know. I think it's maybe through the fashion stuff that I consume because she's always been very involved in going to fashion shows and whatnot. So I feel like it might have been in Vogue or something. I saw, oh, this content creator, Emma Chamberlain. And then I went to YouTube and started watching her. And then every time she creates a new piece of content, especially YouTube videos at the beginning, just add it to the rotation of content that you're consuming. Because YouTube is a long form piece of content, you can kind of connect and feel like you get to know someone pretty quickly, I would say, because especially Emma, she's sharing her house, sharing her life, sharing day in my life doing this, talking to the camera a lot. So there's this term out there, like, comfort creator, someone that just you watch that brings you comfort. It's kind of light in a way, in the same way that some of these old school shows like Friends or whatever, light and airy, like Modern Family for me, or things like that, where you're like,
Yeah.
you throw that in Emma Chamberlain. Like, I know if I go watch her YouTube, it's going to be kind of comforting and be, uh, yeah, something that's not a heavy piece of
Yeah,
news or
no,
something.
she provides you levity and she provides you, yeah, the comfort of, yeah, hearing maybe a young woman like going through things that you might go through. So I think that that's like a perfect example of how and why you might be connecting with someone who creates something like that.
Totally. So I will ask you the same question. Who who do you feel like is your like favorite or your strongest parasocial relationship or one that you want to highlight?
I can't have this conversation without mentioning my parasocial relationship with Riley and Elena.
Shout out.
For any of those who have listened to prior episodes, we shared a little bit about a YouTube channel called Sailing the Vagabond that I discovered probably 6 or 7 years ago. And that it is a YouTube channel that follows Riley and Elena, who are a couple, and their family as they sail around the world. And yeah, they're the people who I have consistently over the years go back to over and over and over again. And with that relationship, I think it's so special because they've taught me so many things and
Mm,
shown me a whole world that otherwise I would know nothing about. And I think it's so cool. I know all
yeah.
these random things about sailing and all these
Totally.
random things about spearfishing and geography. And yeah, I love seeing them make bold choices about the lifestyle that they choose to live, doing something so unique
Mhm.
and really charting the way for others to do the same. Yeah, they've
Right.
built a lot of community out on the water, and I find them to be very inspirational. So yeah, they've been my longest standing relationship. And I think it's so interesting because in some ways, maybe this can segue us into another question about parasocial relationships is, what are the barriers between I'm thinking really in the content space. What is the barrier between creator and consumer?
Mm,
Because, for example, on their channel, they have met other creators
right.
and made friends, and then they've featured their friends on their channel, and then they've co-created things together, or they've met nannies. They've done open calls for folks to both work on their boat as crew and folks to come on their boat and be a nanny for their two little boys. And so they've broken, I would call like the fourth wall, like you would call it in acting, right? Like it's the fourth wall
Yeah.
of like you are talking to the camera, but there are other people on the other end of that, and they've broken that fourth wall time and again. And even something as simple as, hey, drop a comment in down below. And I know that they actively try to respond to folks and over the years will engage with their audience in that way.
Mhm.
So I don't know, that maybe that's another question we can get into on the topic in the last little bit we have here on this.
Yeah, is it like do you think it's more appealing to have a parasocial relationship with someone who's engaging with their audience, who's who you're able to access, basically. And now most celebrities you can, but maybe, people that are responding to their YouTube comments versus, Justin Bieber, who probably can't go through all of his comments and respond or something.
Yeah, I wonder because I think that we briefly mentioned like positive versus negative ways that this could maybe manifest for
Uh-huh.
folks. And the reality is I have a lot of very fruitful relationships in my life. So this is
Right.
maybe a supplemental piece and a bit of like voyeuristic for me as a means of connecting. And so to me, yeah, the benefit is yeah, it's great to be able to do that. I haven't really taken
Right.
them up on
Yeah,
it,
I
so to
haven't
speak.
have either of us interacted? Other than maybe liking Instagram posts, have you ever left a comment for
No.
Riley and Elena? And I've
No,
never.
I never have. I've thought about it though, many
Okay.
times. More I'm like, what would I say? Like
Right.
that's the thing. I would want it to be really meaningful in some way. But yeah, I wonder if there's folks out there who maybe are the way in which they're interacting with these relationships is maybe more intense or maybe makes up a bigger piece of the whole pie of the relationships that they have in
Uh-huh.
their life. And then from that perspective, maybe there is a difference between the love they might feel for a celebrity that they could interact with. Maybe it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's all the same, or maybe I don't know what that line might be for different folks.
Do you wanna share, like, a little bit about what you would say to Riley and Elena?
Well, I genuinely want to be their friend. Which is maybe that I'm taking it too far. But over the years, they've done these open calls for nannies, and I've, made choices over the years to do things less conventionally. And in my ideal world, I would have had an opportunity at some point to go live on their boat with them and be a nanny. But I am a person very prone to emotion sickness. So I've always
Yeah.
just discounted myself as being like, that's truly just not my path because I would within 5 minutes be like, I'd rather die than be on this boat. And
Totally.
that's such an interesting, weird barrier. So yeah, I think in a world in which I would say something to them, it would be maybe admiration, maybe a little wink nod, a door open for future collaboration should they want to do that. And yeah, I've thought about it recently because they've decided to move off their boat and are going to be purchasing some land somewhere in the world and want to cultivate that and have a farm and build community land based. And I'm
Mhm.
like, can I go now? Can I do
Maybe
something?
they'll need, yeah, like, people to come help, tend to the goats or something.
I'm ready. Put me in with those goats.
I mean, I think the cool thing about, like, the parasocial relationships that we've been drawn to and, um, you know, what have you, are, like, I think I would classify them as healthy because I think there's, like, a difference between being, like, a stan of someone and then just being, like, a fan or admiring or enjoying the content or whatever. But I think generally too, like, the people that we choose to engage with and are inspired by seem like generally good people that have good morals, and even though it's a one-sided relationship, that energy impacts you. When I do think about that, when it comes to what content I'm engaging with, Riley and Elena, they're good people. They're doing their best. They're really thoughtful and smart. And all of that energy is positive. Emma as well.
Yeah.
Genuinely a thoughtful person who's learning and growing and cares. I imagine maybe having a parasocial relationship with someone who's not a good person or toxic could be negative in people's lives. So
I
choose
mean,
wisely.
and yeah, and on top of that, we're cognizant of the fact that we have a parasocial relationship.
Totally.
I could totally argue that a lot of people are feeling the effects of those relationships without any sense that that's what's happening, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
And
And
maybe that's
that's,
when it's dangerous, right? It's just like, yeah,
yeah.
I
Well,
know
you're
I have to,
delusional, like thinking, yeah,
yeah, and not really understanding maybe the limitations of the relationship or the connection of that.
right.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah. And Emma does, this is really trippy, but she does an episode about parasocial relationships
very
and very,
meta.
very meta, the good and the bad with parasocial relationships. And yeah, generally, as long as you're balancing it with real life relationships and you're aware of the limitations of it and you're maintaining balance with anything in life. And I think she doesn't talk about this, but I do think choosing wisely when it comes to who you decide to give your energy and your time to, because it's still energy and time.
Yeah, I think about it as it extends to the whole universe of that because we're in a day and age where there's an intensity to the trust that you gain from these relationships, so much so that you might purchase this person's product or
Mm,
listen to their advice. And
right.
sometimes, right, like we've seen it maybe as it relates to the manosphere. Now people are choosing very extreme lifestyles or choosing certain pathways with elective surgery or medicine or things like
Right.
that. And so, yeah, I think that it's important to acknowledge that it's real, that there can be a lot of influence. And while there, yeah, is kind of beauty sometimes in getting to get a lens into another world and yeah, seeing different lifestyles and having exposure, I think, is incredible. An incredible part of that. But to your point, choose wisely. And at the end of the day, we can truly only have so much room for relationships in our lives,
Yeah.
both parasocial and in person IRL relationships.
Right.
So choose wisely because your time is finite. And
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we invite y'all to reflect on your parasocial relationships and why you're drawn to those people, what they bring to your life, all of it.
yeah, if you have any interesting anecdotes you'd like to share, you can throw them in the comments, and maybe we will promise
Parasocially interact.
we can make a promise to read them and engage with them, and you can see how that makes you feel.
Trip, bro. It's a trip. It's like such a trip to put yourself out there into the ether in a message in a bottle, basically, like we do. It's really weird. So, anyway, yeah, as of
Yeah,
now, we
just
don't have a lot of listeners, but maybe someday we will have a lot and it's even more crazy and
yeah, we
ridiculous.
welcome you to share our channel around to folks that you might think that would find things interesting, and yeah, maybe the person you have that parasocial relationship.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Well, shall we get into a little bit more about last week? We shared about how Paloma and I, two sisters, how we decided in 2016 to teach English abroad in Thailand. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, check it out for a day in our life as English teachers in Thailand. Where do you want to take this conversation today, Paloma?
yeah, I think last time we really ran through what the logistics look like, what our day to day was like. And I really want to get into a bit of reflection and share with our audience how it shaped us as individuals, how it shaped us as sisters, and yeah, shaped our kind of bond, honestly, to get to the point where we are today. Because to me, I think that that was a really crucial part of how we, I don't know, how we relate to each other, how we, because we have
Mm,
this really incredible shared experience. So, yeah, if you're open to it, I might just kick it off and start with
yeah,
a few questions.
please.
So, how often do you think about our Thailand experience?
Oh, I don't know, honestly. I mean, I think when you have an experience that shapes who you are, it becomes kind of a part of you, right? So I don't think I'm actively thinking about it every day, but it's a part of who I am. I mean, I think every time I eat Thai food, I think about it. A lot of the times, like when I think about our relationship, yeah, like I think about it. Yeah, just random memories and good times and all of that stuff like will come up in my mind. Yeah, how often do you think about it?
Low key every day.
Okay. In
Not,
what way?
yeah, I think not in its entirety, but I think some seedling, some aspect of it crosses my mind every single day.
Mhm.
And mostly, I think, as it relates to having lived somewhere so distinct from where I'm from,
Right.
because I think that the majority of my community has not done that.
Mhm.
I think I know a lot of people who are fairly well traveled. I know a lot of folks who, maybe went to college in a city or a state other than the one in which they grew up, but I don't know very many people who have spent as much time in a society culture that is essentially like 180 from ours.
Uh-huh.
So I think maybe that's it. It's just like these little seedlings or the recognition of a vibe, if that makes sense.
How do you think it's, like, shaped who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's given me so much perspective about the Eastern world, truly. I
Mhm.
think that prior to that experience, I really felt I think the path of least resistance in the US is in a very American-centric point of view of the world,
Yeah.
perspective of things, because that is how our media cycle works. That is how, yeah, everything I think you hear about is US dollars, is America this, America that. The news that you hear, you're very seldom hearing about global news unless the US is involved in it in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
And so to me, it was the way that it shaped me is to have a more global perspective and to also have a perspective, some semblance of understanding of the Eastern point of view and
Mhm.
of the cultures and the religions that are from that part of the world and not seeing them as so other than
Right.
mine, just different.
And do you think leaving the US helps you to reflect on the US culture? Like, you need
Of
to, like they
course.
say fish doesn't know water. Like, a fish doesn't know what wet is until it leaves the water. Or, like, actually, I don't know if that's a saying, but
I
basically
know
you
what you mean.
need
I don't
yeah.
know the saying either, but
You need to leave in order to have some sort of context to understand your own society, because otherwise everything's just the norm, right?
yes. And I think to a certain extent, my mind was blown in some ways when I went to Spain for the first time.
Mhm.
And you had been living in Spain already, and you had basically told me how amazing it was and inspired me to go and study abroad as well in Spain. And when I went to Spain, I was like, "Whoa, you mean this is how people are doing it here? This is
Yeah.
so cool. This is so that." And it felt really exciting and invigorating. And that was part of why I wanted to continue that adventure, because I was like, this is just a taste of what else is out here. Yeah. But what do you think? How do you think that it has shaped you?
I mean, I think I've always had a curiosity for the world, but it just fostered that more. It just made me even more hungry to learn as much as I can and absorb as much as I can about any possible culture that I can. So just like I think has made me a continuously curious person. Also, I think there's a lot of nuance in culture and in language and all of that. I think it's just made me appreciate the nuance and appreciate context and learning about all of those things. Yeah, I also think it made me more brave. I feel
Uh,
now so much more confident to travel places in general around the world because we had this experience where we're like we figured it out. Like this was, we had each other, but like it's bold. It's like it's
and we were
definitely
young.
yeah. Totally.
And
We
this
were
was
young.
also whatever it was, 10 or more years ago, when we
Mhm.
didn't have the access to the internet and eSIMs and
Mhm.
the the amazing like qualities of Google Maps and ride shares and stuff was not
Right.
at the caliber that it is today.
Yeah. So Paloma went and traveled Latin America for a year and a half alone.
A year,
Uh,
just a year.
a
You keep
year. I
saying a
always
year
say a
and a
year and a
half.
half. She traveled for a year in Latin America, solo traveling. How long ago? A year ago, right? Something like that.
Yes.
Um, and
Ish. It's actually been a little longer now, but yeah, a year and a half ago.
a year and a half ago. And do you feel like going to Thailand that at that time made you feel more comfortable to do that, or made you like? Do you think that impacted the decision?
Of course. I mean, I've done it many times. I've left Colorado to go to college in another state. I know plenty of people that have never even lived outside of the state that they're from. Yeah. So I took the leap and lived in another state. And then I took the leap and moved and studied abroad in Spain. And then took the leap and went to Thailand. Then I moved to DC without knowing a single person and just like on a whim got a job, in a part of the country I'd never been to. And then, yeah, I think when I decided to go traveling, it the idea that it was scary or that I shouldn't do it or that I couldn't do it never crossed my mind.
Mhm.
That was never a barrier. And I think all of those other previous experiences of taking leaps of faith and taking risks and moving to different places certainly gave me the courage and the confidence to do that.
Totally. Yeah.
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 So yeah, I mean, I think that experience shaped my trajectory with maybe how I see myself in the world and how I feel
Yeah.
confident doing things.
Yeah. Do you think it impacts your identity or yeah, do we think that that has impacted our view of ourselves and our personal identity?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly feel more And I don't know if I've always felt this way, but more of a global citizen, more of like just
A
a
citizen
human
of the
first, a
world,
citizen of the
darling.
world, darling, a citizen of the world. Like more of a global citizen, more of a human first, connect with humans versus identifying so hard with our nationality. I think it's important to, of course, understand the way that our being, whatever your nationality is, how that shapes you, but also like having this bigger perspective of where you fit into like this larger global world.
Yeah, I mean, and every time that I've lived outside of the country, you just better understand things. It's things like, oh, I understand the monetary value of something elsewhere in the world. I've used money that is different, and it's also like I think that one of the values that I hold really high of the Thailand experience is that we lived there. We were
Yeah.
not travelers. We weren't backpackers. We were
Mhm.
not popping from place to place to place, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just a different experience, and I think the depth of our cultural understanding. We worked in a Thai school. We earned Thai baht.
Mhm.
We lived in a very Thai community where, there was 15 expats in our entire community, and that was literally it. Otherwise, it was a very untouristic, uninteresting, very boring kind of just average place in Thailand where Thai people have jobs and lives and families. And yeah, I mean, we got the full immersion of being in a school and seeing how children are being taught, seeing how children are being punished. We talked a little bit last time about the kind of a little bit militaristic energy
Yeah.
around the expectations for students in that country. And those experiences are things that you would never, ever, ever get with a backpacking trip. And
Yeah.
likewise, just the amount of Thai that we got exposed to, the amount of the
Mhm.
language that
The
we got to
language, the
learn.
religion. I mean, the kids were, expected to practice religion in school in a
Right.
lot of ways. They gave alms to the local monks, which is a huge part of Thai culture. All of that, all of those nuances are, you know, definitely things that take time to experience and to, absorb.
Right. I mean, even something like it was, I think your class, the fourth grade boys, right? They go to monk camp.
Mhm. They do.
So it's what was it, a week-long camp that they go
I think
to?
10 days
10 days, and it's like a sleepaway camp.
to the
So,
monastery.
yes. And obviously
Mhm.
only boys go because women can't be monks.
But I thought all the kids actually went, maybe just for a weekend, all the kids went to the
Yeah,
monastery
maybe
to
there was some
do
component of it was a
kind of
uh,
service oriented where they basically went and, helped clean the monastery and do that stuff, I think as
yeah.
well. But yeah,
But
very
even there's
interesting.
nuances to that where you're like, "Oh, now we're in Bangkok and we're on the back of a motorbike of this, young man." And you have the context of the fact that when he was in 4th grade, he had to go to monk camp.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's just like the levels of like an understanding of a culture that is so distinct to
Yeah,
understanding a place and how people become the people that they are.
absolutely. Yeah. It is really different than just travel than like being on vacation or traveling for a shorter
Yeah.
amount of time.
And we saw it when we were there. I think we even felt the difference maybe when we were there. I think it's always so funny to think about what our lifestyle was because we had this
Uh-huh.
very, like we talked about last time, very rigid, very intense weekday schedule.
Mhm.
And any weekend that was possible, we tried to go somewhere.
Mhm.
And in instances where it felt too onerous to try to go somewhere farther, maybe more tropical, maybe a little more like touristic, we would just go to Bangkok because that was the closest place that had Western amenities, and that was
Mhm.
our main impetus of going, was for Western amenities. And it's very ironic because for backpackers, that's more of a launch pad for
Right.
the rest of a backpacking adventure, and their launch point into a lot of folks, that's their first or their last place on their trip. So they're going there and they're wanting to party like crazy. They're wanting to, yeah, go out every night. They're wanting to experience a lot of the, I don't know, the
Debauchery.
nightlife culture that
Yeah.
is like too much. And we were basically going there because we wanted Western food. We wanted to eat at restaurants and just go to the mall and like
Which is so funny. I mean, yeah, like I mean, I think everyone from everywhere can relate to like your comfort foods, and for me, it was a hamburger, like or a
it's
pulled pork
crazy because at the
sandwich.
time I used to eat beef. So for both
Yeah,
of us, it was like
we
a
loved
burger.
hamburgers, or we would love to go get Italian food, like a pizza, a really fire pizza.
Yeah.
Silly, yeah, and go to the malls, and yeah, just be in a bigger city too versus like the small town where we were. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, on some of our longer weekends, we would go to tourist hotspots, coastal areas, beaches, and interact with like your backpacker kind of folk, and you can definitely tell the difference between the culture of people who are living there more long term and people
Yeah.
that are, on a different itinerary.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it too a little bit during my year of traveling in Latin America.
Mm.
The difference between a short-term traveler and a long-term traveler like myself.
Mhm.
And yeah, for myself, I was budget traveling. Living off of, it's crazy because it's all relative, but I was budget traveling relative to a short-term traveler. Short-term travelers most of the time trying to pack as much activity into it as they can. And for myself, the goal was much more about slowing down and letting the wind take me where it would and just having a different pace to things. And I think for
Mhm.
us in Thailand too, we had a different rigor and schedule to our lives and a different motivations and goals. And therefore different outcomes than other folks who maybe would visit.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite memory from Thailand? Or a top mem?
Top mem, like top happy.
Yeah, happy.
Oh my gosh, wow. I don't know if I can think of just one memory because we have so many that were, things that were our day-to-day lives, things that were during our travels, but maybe from our day-to-day lives, I think it really came down to the small moments of when we really figured things out
Mhm.
and had our world kind of built there.
Mhm.
I have this really funny memory that I think about, which is we were going to the mall after school one day.
Mhm.
And for context, we talked a little bit about the fact that we got around by motorbike taxi. The fun nuance of that is that technically you can fit two people on a motorbike taxi. Should you? Maybe, maybe not. But the Thai folk, they
We're a
certainly.
lot larger than your average Thai people. Thai people, sometimes you see like 4 or 5 people, like an entire family on one singular motorbike, and we're just bigger. Americans are
Correct.
bigger.
Correct. So yeah, maybe a Thai you would see like an entire Thai family, like 4 or 5 deep, multiple generations and the dog. But for us, we did learn that we're like, okay, with two of us, it's possible.
Uh-huh.
But for whatever reason, this day we had the like old man motorbike taxi driver.
Oh, no.
And in addition to him being old, his motorbike was also old.
Could bear
And he agreed, like we asked him, we said, can you
Yeah.
take two people? And he said yes. And we were going kind of far, like much farther than our normal Lumpini, our little home would have been. And I don't know why. It was just, I found it deeply, deeply comical, the experience of this man trying to get us to the mall. And like these two big Americans, like on the back of his motorbike, struggling like on this like downhill
Oh.
down into this mall.
The amount of like sketchy like motorbike or like song tao or like all of that stuff is like very
So that's a super random memory that just kind of tickles me a bit, but maybe one other memory is I think I really loved going to now I can't remember the name of it. There was that beach that we could get to from our
Bongsen.
town. What was it called?
Bongsen.
Bongsen? Yeah, I think that's how it sounds
Yeah,
right.
pretty sure.
I think it was like our first weekend arriving in Thailand, and the expats who kind of welcomed us into our community were like, we're going to the beach or we're going to this rooftop pool. And we're like,
Uh-huh.
oh my God, amazing. And they're like, yeah, it's only whatever, 50 baht for the day. And it just felt so like we had arrived
Yeah.
and it was going to happen and everyone was in it together. And we just spent this whole day together. We took the song tao. It just felt so special, so different. Like
Mhm.
we weren't going somewhere touristy. We were going to this town and the only way we knew how to get there is because they showed us the way to get there and they happened to know about this rooftop. And I think it was some maybe apartment building that have a day rate to use the pool and they knew
Right.
about this deal. So we went up there and we bought beers from the vending machine downstairs and spent the whole day up there, watched the sunset, splashed around, went for dinner afterwards. And yeah, I felt like that was we're here, we're doing it vibe.
Ugh, yeah, that was an absolute vibe. I
It
love
was.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good
What about
memories.
for you? What is your most?
I mean,
memorable?
there's, like you said, there's so many. I actually was thinking about, because of the story you just told, I started to think about another memory of another rooftop pool. This is a vibe.
There's a
Um,
few during our trip, I'll say.
I think one weekend there was like a big hotel party on a rooftop pool that was
Yep.
full of a bunch of debaucherous.
This was in Bangkok, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to Bangkok for this rooftop pool party full of a bunch of debaucherous tourists and English teachers and stuff. And we were staying at a hostel, and in our hostel room, there was some other teachers who I don't even think were part of our program, were they?
I have no idea. What's the rest
We
of the story now?
I mean, we met some cool girls basically who we ended up hanging out with and, drinking on the roof of our hostel with and making our way to the rooftop party with. And
Oh, yeah, I don't actually remember how we met them, though.
they
Just
were
in the
just,
hostel.
yeah, literally. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's to me is like the beauty of being a traveler and being young. And maybe I'm just idealizing this young hostel life of, you
Hey,
know,
I lived in hostels last year, so that's fine. It still happens.
we're still young, okay? And yeah, the meeting of people is just cool to me. That's just so fun, is the spontaneity and the camaraderie and meeting people and having a good time,
Yeah,
basically.
I loved it. I think it was so cool because we had I don't know, I loved being able to know what we were talking about. I loved going to
Mm.
Bangkok and people are like, "What's this?" And you're like, "Oh, I know what that is." And, "Oh, you're trying to go there on like on a in a tuk-tuk?" "No, no, we're going on the motorbikes." And they're like, "You ride those? Those are so scary." And you're like, "I ride those every day to school."
It does
Like, I
feel
don't know, I felt
good.
like, yeah, we had the local savvy, and I thought that that was really cool. And we also were teachers who were highly revered in Thai society, and I don't know,
Mhm.
that felt like a bit of an honor as well there to be like, we are teachers and we are here and different than
Mhm.
a tourist. I'm like, no, we are earning Thai salary and
Yeah.
we're living here and contributing to your society and your youth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is, like, some of the more challenging parts of our experience?
My goodness, where do I start? I think there's two things I think of. One is teaching.
Yeah, that was really hard for you.
Teaching without curriculum, teaching without guidance, teaching I was required to teach all 3 of my classes that all you had 3 separate levels. I was required to teach them all the same curriculum and grade them on the same in the same way. I was also not allowed to flunk any of my students, which felt wrong. There was a lot of morality to that because I'm like, my students are failing, and then you're telling me I can't fail them, but they failed, and now you are failing them by not letting me fail them.
Uh-huh.
And just push the system itself. The system was not serving the students, I didn't think, and I didn't have the tools to serve them. So I'm a person who gets really like passionate about what I do, and so I felt that was really tough.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think the teaching stuff, and then also yeah, just the onerousness of okay, three different subjects, 3 different classes every day a week, a lot of class time to fill. So that was very heavy to just constantly be working at that. And the second challenge was the challenge that I always have as a traveler, which is my and yours forever motion sickness.
That's hard.
And yeah, this is a part of the world where there is no high-speed trains. There are no a lot of parts of the country with no paved roads
We took a
and
train
oh
that
my
went
god,
25 miles an hour for 5 hours. It was terrible.
and stopped 1,000 times.
For people that get sick, like, we just drugged ourselves as much as possible. There's no air conditioning. It's 90 degrees. The windows
Yeah.
are open, and we're just, like, fighting for our lives, basically. And, like, hard. It's hard, dude. It's
Yeah.
not easy for us who get so sick, and this train is just
Or that
like
time that I threw out my back. Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know, I was like 22 years old, I like threw up my back somehow, I don't know. And that day we were traveling back to our
That was a
town from this island.
that was a
So we
mistake.
had to walk from the hostel to the ferry terminal. Then we were on a ferry. Then we waited and got into a songtao, which is like a impromptu bus situation, basically in a Zuzu truck that they turned the bed of the truck into a covered um form of public transportation
Mhm.
with benches on both sides and a bell. And we took that. Then we were on a bus for 3 or 4 hours, and then
Yeah.
had to get onto another, I can't remember what it was, another song or another motorbike or something at the end, like 5 different modes of transportation. I'm drugged. We've probably been drinking all weekend. I threw out my back.
Mhm.
I want to cry. I'm hungry. My stomach feels weird. The whole thing. Like moments like that, like the trying moments
Yeah.
with stomach stuff, with motion sickness, with all of that was quite intense.
That was the trip where I and some of our other friends all got food poisoning on this island. So that was a huge challenge. Luckily, the food poisoning didn't hit until I got home. Thank
For most of you guys,
goodness.
right? When was
I
like was it the morning of we traveled that we had that food? And it's crazy. So that I don't eat eggs, and
Mhm.
me not eating eggs saved my ass
Yeah.
because
Everyone that had the eggs got very, very
which was
sick.
everybody. We were at a table with like 7 or 8 of us. Everyone ordered the soft boiled eggs, and I ordered. I
Huge
remember. I
mistake.
remember. I ordered a pineapple pancake. That was the best pancake I've ever had
Mm.
in my life.
And I was stuck with the food poisoning.
Yeah.
I
So
think
yeah.
the
For
the
you.
the challenge I mean, yes, all of the above. I kind of wanted to, in our last few minutes, talk about the challenges and like obviously the wins, but also the challenges in our relationship,
Oh
because I
yeah,
feel
great
like
idea.
that was something that was kind of interesting, and yeah, definitely like a big part of kind of shaping maybe where we are today. But basically, Paloma and I did everything together. Obviously, we worked at the same school. We from wake to sleep, we were doing everything side by side. And I think it was amazing to have that support, but I also think, what did you find challenging about that?
I mean, we had our moments. I think overall we were so compatible throughout that and so supportive of each other. And
Mhm.
we made jokes of it. Sometimes we'd be like, "Well, it's only been 4 hours since we've seen each other. Like, what's new with you?" And we like
Yeah.
found ways to make light of that fact. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think sometimes I've reflected on it in the past of like maybe it limited our ability to form other relationships outside of us because we
True.
kind of became a package deal.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to invite Paloma. It's like, oh, I'm going to invite the sisters. The
The
sisters are
sisters, the
coming now
sisters.
if I
Yeah.
invite Paloma.
Right.
So I think for me, as such a social person, I felt maybe a little limited by that. And
Yeah.
I was also a bit younger than you. And because I'm so social, I'm like, I want to go out every night. And I want to
Mhm.
drink every one of those nights too. And I'm down to go give this person a chance. And I feel like you were much more mature in that respect. And you're like, I don't really like that person, or I don't really need to go do that now or ever. And
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was maybe challenging, is like negotiating this somewhat shared identity in some
Yeah.
ways. We're each our own person, but everyone thinks of us as like, yeah, this package deal and doing everything together. And of course, being sisters, we get along super well, but we also have our moments where we disagree or we fight. But I think it was really the social stuff of us always being a
Yeah.
package deal. And we definitely grappled with that. But yeah,
Certainly. And had a few blowout fights, but we
stronger for it.
yeah, always.
Oh,
So
yeah.
crazy experience, honestly. That's why I think about it every day because there's so much there. The
Hmm.
depth of what we experienced, whether it be related to the food, to the culture, to the fact that I was a teacher for a
Hmm.
while.
Yeah, it's
Like
so
today I thought
cool.
about it earlier today because I was with I was playing mahjong and a bunch of the women there are also teachers. And I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I can relate to you because I was a teacher briefly
Mhm.
in Thailand,
But
untrained,
still,
but I was.
but I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just cool to get to experience something so, like, kind of one-off or so different, and yeah,
Yeah. And our
take as much
understanding
from
of the
it.
geography of that country, of all of that is so rich.
Mhm. We need to go back. I haven't been back since.
I haven't
Neither
been
have
back to
you.
Southeast Asia. Nope.
Gotta go.
We gotta go. I'd want to go to Koh Lanta.
Yeah. That was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
I
love to
would
go
love
back
to go
there.
back to
Very
Koh
much more our
Lanta.
speed. No more Koh Phi Phi.
No,
No
Koh Phi Phi was
more.
fun. Fun for the memes, fun for did it for the plot kind of vibe, and it really is stunning, but yeah, I can't imagine doing that now.
Nope. Absolutely not. So yeah,
Um,
so I mean, there's obviously so much more there, but I think that's a perfect way to kind of conclude our sharing of that experience with our audience. So that is part 2 of our Thailand experience. Again, if you missed part 1 of the nuances of our day in the lives during that time frame, please check out our previous episode. And as always, we want to leave you with our recommendations of the week. So I'll kick it to
yeah.
you, Teach.
Why don't you share your recommendation first?
Oh, sure. My recommendation is an Instagram account called blankwall.uk.
Oh,
And it is I would call like a photo project.
okay.
I know very little about this creator, so I'm just going to describe what I understand of this account and recommend that you check it out. It is this young guy, I believe, from the UK, and he found his grandfather's collection of film photographs.
Uh,
And his grandfather, I know nothing about, but has a collection of probably tens of thousands of photographs, and he was incredibly organized. So
oh,
what do you call those? Like little drawers and
file
shelves. Thank you.
cabinets.
File cabinets filled, organized by
I'm looking
location,
at
by
it.
year, all of that. And this creator has made it a goal of his to commemorate basically all of the art and all of the photos that his grandfather made. So in addition to showcasing them on this account, he also, I believe, will reproduce prints and ship them out if there's so he's like pulled out maybe certain images and you can order them maybe from his website or something like that. And
It's so cool.
it's very wanderlust, very very cool to see someone who's, I don't know how old his grandfather was, but
Right.
presumably grandpa aged.
Wow,
So
Thailand
like
in the 70s. Like,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
How do
So
you think that, like, impacts his relationship with his grandpa or, like, his interaction with, like, his legacy or Like, it's gotta bring them closer together.
totally. I mean, it's so hard to say like what it was previously, but even in an instance in which they were close, I mean, anyway, if they were not close, it's going to make you understand that person better, and if they were close, more so to give you that perspective. And there was a recent reel where he was talking about how he highlighted a bunch of the photos of the grandfather with his grandmother and their evolution of young
Mm.
lovers and traveling together and him thinking about their relationship and obviously as it relates to his own identity because that's part of how he's here.
Right. Oh, that's so cool, I love that. Just this legacy and celebrating a creator who came before, and his work wasn't online before, so it's great that he's kind of taken all these film photos and put them online. I really love that.
Me too. They're really, really cool. And yeah, there's certain beauty of, something that's sitting in a file cabinet, not seeing the light of day and giving it the light of day and the time of day as well.
I love that. It's beautiful. What a beautiful sentiment.
Check it out at
Check it out.
blankwall.uk. What
Awesome.
about
Great
you, Peach?
reco.
Thanks.
This week, I'm just recommending an idea. I recommend to everyone out there to create something. I think so many of us don't get to just anymore. You think of like a garden and we're all finger painting and we're all creating all the time. And I think I feel really blessed because in my job, I'm creative all day long. It's just so important and so beautiful to exercise that. So whether that's just like picking up a pen and writing a little poem, or whether that's, grabbing some watercolors and doing something and just express yourself and explore and play with creativity. It makes you feel good to do. And I do
Make
think
some
it makes
sourdough.
Make some sourdough,
Knit a
do
Sophie
some
scarf.
knitting. Yeah, make something with your hands, and don't be afraid of not being good at it, you know? I think that's the
Yeah.
barrier for a lot of people, and just make it for yourself, and, yeah, I think it makes the world a better place when more of us are, like, creating and, you know, exploring that, like, side of us, so I'm encouraging everyone to do that.
I think it's a beautiful recommendation. And yeah, sometimes just take the nudge to just do it and get outside of maybe the regular routines of immediately pulling out your phone or immediately opening your computer or, seeking maybe the more instant gratification that we can find from our digital sources and doing something really tactile because the outcome might feel harder to obtain, but I think it feels richer when you do obtain it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely, I love that.
Love it. Get after it, folks.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Have an absolutely stunning week, and we will see y'all next week.
Like and subscribe. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.